Alrighty, baby. What's up, Ringside Nation? The Ring Boys are back. Down one on the night. Artie won't be in attendance, but we'll definitely discuss his points and picks. I'm here with Doc. Doc, how we feeling?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Finally, a great event for us to discuss for this year.
That we do, and we'll get right into it. UFC 300 main event finally revealed. Alex Pereira is going to defend his light heavyweight title against Jamal Hill, and yeah, I'm excited for this one. They also mentioned they were trying to make one more fight, but this is the UFC 300 main event. I'm excited for it. I'm not making my pick yet. I'm sure we're gonna break down that card and not reveal anything too early. But yeah, Doc, what are your instant reactions on this?
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for this announcement for a while. I don't think that this is the best possible fight we could get, but hey, it's better than nothing. If it wasn't going to be this, then I was hoping that it would be the Gaethje fight taken over as the top spot. But honestly, right now, as it stands, 299. If none of the fights drop out, that's going to be the card of the year. So great little streak of UFC cards in a row that are all really, really good. UFC 300, I think, unfortunately, with when Ramadan is showing up this year, it removes the potential for a lot of the great fighters in the UFC to fight. So that's why we ended up with this. But I'm not mad about it. It's good.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Lastly, before we move on from UFC 300, obviously reports coming in, Leon did say yes to all three fights he was offered. So obviously Bilal should be slated next for the title shot, but another report came out saying Bilal was not even in the conversation for the title shot. So if that's true, then that rules out Bilal. So that means Leon said yes to Khamzat Chimaev, Islam Makhachev, and Shavkat Rakhmonov. Like, I have a new level of respect for Leon just saying yes, I'll be there. But obviously, as you mentioned, with Ramadan coming in March, that timing is not going to work out. They won't be able to train, so that will not happen. We'll have to wait for those fights to hopefully happen one other day.
Yeah, good for Leon. I mean, I remember when he was coming up before he became champ, I didn't necessarily have too much respect for him. I really thought Kamaru was going to be running this division for a while. He came back against Kamaru that first time, beat him in decisive fashion the second time. He's the real deal, and hey, he wants to fight. He talks a little bit of trash, but at the end of the day, all of his trash talk is in the ring, where he shows that he's multifaceted, really good champ, really respectable guy, and he's a company man, is what it seems like. We'll get Leon out there soon enough. It's just unfortunately it's not going to be 300, but he'll be back there. He won't say no.
Agreed. We'll have to see if they make that England card either this year or next year. Maybe we get him, Tom, Patty on a card. Where do I sign?
What I always say is Patty has the most electric walkout of anyone. So bring that to England, and that's what the people want to hear and see.
Would that be your walkout song?
My walkout song? I wish I could mix it myself. You know, I've been trying to find it on Spotify. It's a great compilation there.
Agreed. All right. Well, that's your 300 news for now until obviously the event or anything else happens. We'll keep you posted. But we got to break down UFC 298 and our picks and what happened, what went wrong. But this card was a lot of favoritism moving into the main event. All the favorites have hit up till the main event. Obviously, El Matador Topuria KOing Alexander the Great Volkanovski in the second round. Before we even discuss the fight, having Mark Zuckerberg in your corner is craziness. Like, he was ringside when Merab was just choking out Cejudo, and Merab was just yelling at him. But I don't know. I think every event that Mark Zuckerberg ends up coming to, the fighter he's rooting for has lost. So the Zuckerberg curse, the EA cover curse, was
Great
set up
curse.
for it was set up the over 35 curse. It was all set up for Volk to have to try to rewrite it in the stars, and he didn't do it. But yeah, Volk opened up with a bunch of really good leg kicks. He had great motion, didn't get caught with the cage behind him at all in the first round. He definitely won that first round in my eyes. And then after, some volume and some recovery, he had a good knee in the clinch to end that round. But yeah, the Volk got caught. Topuria with a great right hook. And then as Volk was going down, almost caught him with another left. And it gave me flashback and reminiscence of when he went down after Islam dropped him. And yeah, you hate to see it for Alexander the Great Volkanovski and the featherweight GOAT going down, losing his belt. Doc, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, it was a great fight by both guys. I think Volk was top notch throughout this fight. He could feel the pressure from Topuria. First round, he handled it well. Second round, he backed up a bit. Topuria started throwing. To me, it reminds me a bit of one of my favorite heavyweight fights of all time, which was Ngannou versus Rosenstrike, where Ngannou just started throwing haymakers left and right, and eventually one of them hit and got Rosenstrike down. Similar to here, Topuria threw a bunch of shots. One of them landed beautifully on the chin, and Volk was out. I didn't think that Topuria had this kind of power. I know he was fast. I really thought that Volk had the power advantage going into this fight, but Topuria's clearly been training, working on his technique. He looked really good out there. If they run it back, I don't know what happens. I think Topuria would probably be favored if they run it back. But Volk is still looks really good. Nothing bad to say about Volk. He took it like a champ and always gracious in defeat. But now the intrusive thoughts probably start coming in. The doubt comes in, and I have it as a fan. I'm a big fan of Volkanovski. He's a great ambassador for the sport. But this is 3 in a row, right? 2 to Islam and then 1 to Ilya. 2 of them by brutal knockout. The chin can never be the same after this. Khabib is very well known for saying that you don't recover from losses like these, and he probably is right. But now Volk will have the mental aspect of this creeping in as he goes forward. I hope to see him back out there. He needs some time to recover, though, and I think some reporters asked Dana about that, and he was like, "Oh, well, the doctors will clear him when they clear him." It's not about that. Volk needs to set some time to training. Trust himself a little bit more. He might need a tune-up fight before fighting Ilya again, and I hope it's not against Max Holloway. I do think that Ilya needs to fight Max Holloway. Max Holloway never been knocked down. Ilya thinks he can do it. Let's see it happen. In with the new, out with the old is what it seems like. He says that Ilya says that he is a representative of how the game is changing, and he's one of the new up and coming people, the new style of fighting, the new well-rounded style of fighting. So hey, let's see if Ilya can do it against some of these old other veterans. But he needs to give these people a shot. He doesn't need to fight Conor McGregor or whatever garbage he was spewing at the end.
Fun fact: Conor McGregor is the only fighter to ever defend his title in the featherweight division now. So sad to see. He's never had a title defense loss. He's the only fighter to ever fight in the featherweight division and not lose his belt. It was him. It was just him and Volk, and now that Volk lost, that's
okay. That's like a weird stat.
It is. I just wanted to mark that down. But yeah, obviously, Ilya
everyone's champ until they lose. Like what?
Ilya said in his post-fight interview that he wants to fight in Spain. Dana said that they're looking into definitely doing Spain this year. At least they'll do their best to try to. You know how the UFC is. Ilya said that no other stadium but the Bernabeu, which is where Real Madrid plays, will do. So we'll see if he can get that to fight. That's an 80,000 capacity. Like even with the dome closed, that's 80,000 people. Like that would be crazy. That'd be the biggest UFC gate ever. So I doubt they would do that, but that would be pretty cool to see.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say, that would be awesome to see. But Ilya's not calling any shots in the UFC just yet.
And that's where I was taking this conversation. He, as you said, in with the new, out with the old. He just started saying he doesn't see anyone in this division worthy. He wants to fight Conor McGregor at whatever catch weight. He doesn't care what Conor weighs. He wants to close the chapter and be the one to eliminate Conor McGregor from the MMA community. He goes on to be asked about well, if you don't see that, then what makes the most sense? And he goes, yeah, I respect Volk. I guess the rematch makes the most sense right now. One thing I do want to bring up, he was asked about Movsar Iloyev, and they go on, and he just looked pissed when he was even asked about it. And he was like, yeah, Movsar is a good fighter, but the guy has 8 fights and all decisions. He needs to finish someone before he can fight me. Maybe he can go finish his dad. And I was like, oh, okay. We're getting a little out of control here. But yeah, he said he really wants to fight in Spain. I think he definitely deserves and owes Volk a rematch. Volk has done more for the company and more for the sport than he has up to this point. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see where Ilia Topuria's career goes. I obviously was the only one who called it. Going into it, right before the fight started, I had thoughts that Volk was actually going to pull it off, and then Ilia came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. But yeah, it just shows levels. Topuria, the next potential villain UFC fighter. I don't know. I don't think he'll be Conor McGregor level. I don't think he'll ever get to that point. We'll see. It's not a good look whenever to like any fighter that you start calling out other people in other divisions rather than thinking about defending your title. So I don't know. We'll have to see what's next for Ilia Matador Topuria.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that people are correct in booing the way that he's been acting. He's a nobody so far. He beat Volk, congratulations, but he's not drawing crowds. People aren't gonna randomly know his name outside of the people that follow UFC a lot. Yeah, it bugs me a bit how Ilya's acting. If he wants to get humbled, he should try to go up to lightweight where Islam Makhachev will show him what wrestling really is. Like, this is
Could put a 1 in that column so fast.
easy money.
Yeah.
Anyway, great main event. So it lived up to the hype. Both fighters were at their best, and Ilya caught him. So good for him.
Volk, we're rooting for you, buddy. Go take as much time as you need. Hopefully we get the Spanish rematch and you get your little dust of gold back. I definitely wouldn't hate to see that. And Ilya's going to go, buy Dana a couple bottles of wine and try to convince him to fight in Real Madrid Stadium. So there's that. Nonetheless, moving on, I'm 1 for 1 as we go. Just have to bring that up casually. Bobby Knuckles defeating Apollo Costa via unanimous decision. And man, the fact that Paulo Costa actually fought for one was impressive. The fact that he gave Robert Whittaker a run for his money in the beginning was impressive. And the fact that he caught him with a spinning heel kick and almost actually finished him in the end of the first round is even more impressive. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat the entire fight. Like, Whittaker obviously had way more volume and had more control after, he sat down for that minute, recovered, went into the second round. But yeah, if there was 5, 7, maybe even 10 more seconds at the end of that first round, maybe the arrow is pointing the other way. Who knows? Maybe Costa could have actually finished him if he had kept his control. But anyway, we don't live in what-if scenarios. Whittaker came back with his own head kick at one point, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's him coming back. Paul Costa started like sticking out his tongue and like calling him out to come in the middle of the ring to like throw exchanges. And it's like, dude, there's 2.5 minutes left in the third round. He's not going to do that. He's beating your ass. And Robert Whittaker checked him, gets his hand raised at the end of the bell. And this was a ringer for the Ring Boys. So we'll hit that bell real quick.
Yeah, good. Biggest shock of the card was exactly what you said. Paulo Costa showing up to fight. I couldn't believe it. And Paulo Costa showing up and looking like he belongs, that's even more impressive. But it's really good to see Whittaker get 3 good rounds of fighting in. He had a really tough loss to Dreykus. So hopefully Volkanovski can learn a bit from what Whittaker just did here. Came back, put on a great performance, trademark performance. He's looking good. And hey, Robert Whittaker has been top 3 in this division for a really long time. And he's improving, and he's really working on himself. So good for him winning. Hopefully we can get a few more knockouts out of him soon. I don't think he deserves a title shot right now, but he's up there. But glad to see Bobby Knuckles, like you like to call him.
Bobby Nux, baby. Bobby Nux.
Yeah. No, good for him. And hey, Paulo Costa, not just a social media star, I guess. Sounds like he wants to come back and fight some more, and I'm down to watch him fight.
Nice of him to show up finally after injuries and his hair transplant. He's back to fighting the UFC. And not only did he look pretty, he looked pretty good at fighting. So we'll leave it at that. But I don't know what's next for Paulo Costa. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see for him. You know how he is with taking fights. But Robert Whittaker, title shot, maybe? Or you think he has to go through Strickland first?
Yeah, let's see him fight Strickland.
Agreed. I think I'm taking Robert Whittaker in that one personally, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ringer from the Ring boys. We move along. The snooze fest of the night. Jeff Neal losing to Ian Machado Gary via split decision. Did you actually know Jeff Neal used to work at a Texas Roadhouse before he started fighting? I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, Ian Machado Gary gets the win on just Dancing with the Stars, as I'd like to call it. He didn't really do much in my eyes. Yeah, I guess he won. But what pissed me off the most was he kept like reaching out and dapping up Jeff Neal every time. They were like laughing during the fight as if they were sparring. And I was like, what are we doing here? They're like, everyone's booing you. Every time Jeff would grab him, go to the clinch, they would boo. Every time Ian would get a hit, they would boo. So I was just like, yeah, that stadium was loud for this one. And when Ian Gary walked out, kissed his wife, the whole stadium just erupted. It was crazy. But yeah, Ian Gary gets the win. He had a better third round to come back and save this one. But if you paid attention, he went to the press conference, called out that he wants to, or in the ring, he actually said he wants to fight Colby Covington, beat him, get him out of the UFC. I'd be interested in that fight, I guess, just because the permutations of it. But if it's anything like this, I'm skipping it and I'm going to the bathroom during that fight. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that actually happens. And we'll have to see what's next for Ian Gary.
Yeah, I'll say this. I picked Jeff Neal, and looking at that fight, honestly, not a bad pick. Exactly what happened in this fight is exactly what I was expecting. Ian Gary came in, wanted to be the next Conor McGregor. This hype train is over. This is multiple performances in a row where he really isn't that impressive. He's not this knockout artist that can get people out in the first round. He can talk a lot, and he can dance around the ring, is what it seems like as soon as he gets some real competition. That 0 that he has next to in his record, it's very close to becoming a 1. And Jeff Neal, regardless of him losing this fight, what he did prove, and he did his job, and that's he showed that this new guy that's entering the rankings is really not a bad man at this point. We'll see how he does going forward, but Gary doesn't have the support of the fans anymore. He talks a lot, similar to Topuria. So we'll see where he goes from here, but I think his stock is dropping very, very fast. So he better start getting knockouts. Otherwise, no one's going to be tuning in. No one is going to be tuning into his fights. No one's going to be selling out arenas just because it's him, unless if it's in Ireland. So he needs to start focusing. I don't think his head is in the game right now. That, or he's just showing that he isn't ready for the big time yet.
Agreed. You think we actually see him fight Colby?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think so.
Watch that fight. Who cares?
I don't think so.
That press conference would probably be pretty funny, but
yeah,
that's not a that's like a opening up the main card type of fight. I don't care about that fight.
What I will say is, I saw there was a report earlier, and it was the first thought in my head right after he called Kobe. He was asked about Sean Brady on a podcast, and he said, "I don't really think that fight makes any sense for me." Blah blah blah. And he looked like he was scared in his voice, and I was like, "If Sean Brady was healthy and stuff, Sean Brady would first round TKO him. I'm not even concerned." So no wonder he was ducking Sean Brady at 6. So Sean Brady obviously getting hurt, pulling out of his fight. So who knows? It would be funny if they actually make that fight. I would. That'd be the first time I ever go against Ian Gary. But we'll see who he gets next.
Maybe he needs to meet Shavkat to kick him out of the rankings completely.
Shavkat's fighting for gold. He's not worried about Ian Gary right now. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Jeff Neal will just be there. Company guy. We love him. But yeah. Artie and I getting that one right. Doc, as you mentioned, still a good pick. I didn't knock you for it. I thought he was going to lose a lot of points of the fight, but ultimately Ian Gary, it's a boring split decision win. But my personal fight of the night, oh boy. Merab the Machine Dvalishvili defeating Henry Cejudo via unanimous decision. It was just a domination, like no other way to put it. Merab got, rocked a little early into the fight. Henry kind of looked like he was getting going. And then Merab said, "Hey, Zuckerberg, hold my beer, dude." Came down. Merab was doing a lot of wrist controlling. And then Merab's corner were saying, your hands are too low. You're too afraid of his takedowns. Like, just don't rush. Keep everything paced. And then after they gave him that advice, Merab just took over. He was grappling. He was choking Henry to exhaust him at the end of the round. He was like saying, "Zuckerberg, what are we doing after this?" Like, you trying to get a beer. Merab was talking to the announcers at one point, and he was just screaming at everyone. At one point, Henry seemed to look to have, like, he broke his forearm, I would say. Like, his whole left forearm was swelling up. But yeah, Merab picked him up at the end, dropped him off at Zuckerberg Daycare, gets the win. And I think he passed Clay Guida for 79 takedowns to go third in UFC history. So that was a cool stat that I heard. But then he obviously jumps the cage, daps up Zuckerberg, and now he is a newfound guy that he'll probably be tweeting at for the next 6 months. So we'll look to see for that content. But man, that's like, those are like legit, like, if I'm Henry Cejudo, that keeps me up at night, levels of demoralizing what Merab just did to me. Like, what you're doing. Obviously, he took the 3 years off and he has the ring rust, but like, for how great of a wrestler you are, how great you were at one point, having that happen to you, taking the gloves off for a second time after a fight. And yeah, and people were pissed off because they're like, why didn't they give Henry the mic to retire? It's like, Dana said it best. It's like, it's not Henry's time. His time came and passed. If you take 3 years off, you did it to yourself. So Merab should be fighting for a title next. He should definitely get the next title shot once Cheeto and O'Malley do their thing. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Doc, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this was a really good performance by Merab, a member of my fantasy team. Merab has been the best bantamweight, in my opinion, for the last few years. He made Dana White a bit upset by not fighting his friend Aljo. That's why he's not currently the champ, but he would beat Aljo easily as well. That first round was really interesting. I was getting a bit worried. Henry Cejudo did great work against Merab. The issue is that Merab has the greatest gas tank in all of the UFC. And we saw that by the second round, Henry was exhausted. And I think anyone would be exhausted. Merab goes endlessly for takedowns. What does that say? 5 for 11? Yeah. I mean, he's had times when he's gone for like 20 takedowns. And this was only a 3-round fight. This was Henry Cejudo's best chance of beating Merab. Anybody that Merab fights 5 rounds and it goes past the 3rd round, they're losing because his gas tank doesn't end. He showed a little bit of the submission. He showed some really powerful striking. And, Henry Cejudo, before the fight, he was saying that everybody knows Merab's game plan. If you can't beat a guy when everybody knows the game plan, like, you don't belong in the UFC. The game plan that everybody was expecting from Merab was not what he showed. That being said, even if he did do the only wrestling, he would have still won the fight. But Merab, tremendous athlete, tremendous inspiration to the Georgian people. I saw videos of people celebrating in Georgia after he won. He is the best bantamweight. I'll say Henry Cejudo, his real division was the flyweight division, in my opinion. He's a much smaller guy. When he went up to bantamweight, he beat TJ Dillashaw, I believe, beat like Dominic Cruz, stuff like that. But his best division was flyweight, where I don't think anybody right now would be able to compete with him. But yeah, great fight. Merab scared me a bit in that first round, but what he did in the second and third round is what he's been doing to every single person in this division. He will be champion. When Sean O'Malley beats Chito Vera, I don't think he'll have a chance to land a shot on Merab. And again, the only way he beats him is if he lands a shot. I just think he's going to be on the ground the entire fight. But we'll see.
More impressingly, goes on to the post-fight press conference and says, "Oh yeah, 299s next month. Yeah, if you want me to be a backup, I can make weight in 5 days." Like, just casually saying he can make weight in 5 days is insane. Like, he is just an athlete. It's insane.
And I believe it. I believe that he could do it. I mean, his work ethic has to be insane for the amount of cardio that he has. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't stop, and that's why he wins.
Yeah, and Merab calls out O'Malley, said, I've been wanting to fight with him since 2018, so I want to fight him in that white jacket he was wearing ringside tonight. It looked pretty cool. I kind of want that too. And then Merab followed that up with, yeah, I guess if I wasn't, throwing spinning kicks and messing around, I could have finished him if Zuckerberg wasn't ringside. Like, just the obsession of Zuckerberg was so funny. But we will see Mexican Merab come back stronger than ever. And I'm excited for what's next for him.
It'd be wild if there's two champions from Georgia at the same time. That would be crazy. Both
Georgians winning on this card and winning in life. I'll ring that bell because that was a ringer from the Ring Boys, and then I'll follow that up with a Roman Kopylov getting rear naked choke out in the second round by Fluffy Hernandez. I mean, look, 3 for 14 on takedowns. That's not that great. Hernandez apparently tore a ligament in his foot, like when they fought. And they had the wrong walkout song for him. So I was like, oh, this is bad vibes. Maybe our pick's going to be right. But man, as great as Roman's like hand checking was and takedown defense, I think he was like 100% for his takedown defense in the first round. But yeah, round 2 started. Fluffy ate a punch, put his tongue out, and just threw the middle finger at Roman. And I was like, oh no, yeah, this might be it, folks. But he finally got the 2-leg sweep in the takedown, choked Roman out, and then now he has the second longest winning streak in the middleweight division behind Drake is a 7. So with 5.
Yeah, I'll say 2 really exciting guys in this division. Obviously, we all took Roman. Roman is known for his stand-up game and for his takedown D. He showed both. He was a little bit timid in the fight, and I'm sure it's because he was worried about getting taken down, because what we saw in the second round is as soon as Anthony Hernandez got the double leg, the fight was very quickly over. Anthony Hernandez has a very similar style to Merab, in my opinion, where he just doesn't stop going for those takedowns. We saw something like that when he fought Rodolfo Vieira a few fights ago. He was able to submit like one of the greatest ADCC BJJ specialists because he tired him out. And that's what Hernandez was able to against Kopylov. Kopylov spent a lot of energy to hold off those takedowns in the first round, and then by the second round, he was too tired to do the same. So Anthony Hernandez, I'm excited to see him going forward. He is the real deal. I didn't believe it early on, but no, it makes sense that he was minus 200. He's been preparing for a fight much longer than Roman, but I do expect Roman to come back and get a few more good wins here in the UFC. His striking is really, really good. He has to just work on a few more things.
Yeah, I wonder to see where Hernandez's ranking ends up being. He'll probably be at 13, probably, I would say, but we'll have to wait and see.
He's definitely better than
100%.
He's definitely not the 13th best middleweight, and Roman is not the 15th best middleweight. They're both up there.
Roman's not even ranked. He's not ranked.
Well, he should be.
Yeah, he definitely should be.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it'll be harder for him to get that ranking after getting choked out, and Anthony Hernandez earns his 50 Gs on the performance bonus. Fight of the night, Amanda Limoges defeating Mackenzie Dern via unanimous decision. Amanda had great striking, but Mackenzie scores the takedown in round 1. Limoges ground D she almost won at some point in the first round. She got back up. I thought it was 10-9 Dern, but I thought I had to rewatch that first round. After rewatching it, I get it. Limoges rocks Mackenzie Dern. I was like, oh, it's all over in the second round. She was battering her. She was bloody, but Mackenzie ends up surviving. And then that solidified that Lamoche, I think, has the most knockdowns in strawweight history now with 4. So the ref stands him up. Mackenzie did not look at all on her feet at this point. And Amanda grapples, scores a takedown, round 2 ends. Dern hypes the crowd up to start round 3. Like, they come out and hug each other. And then Dern dropped my heart. Like, she was able to just, well, I don't know, outperform Amanda on the striking. It looked like she was going to finish her at one point. But yeah, I thought Mackenzie Dern did enough to get back. I was inevitably wrong. Limoges gives up her leg, and Mackenzie held a great position in the round. But yeah, it was a really good fight. If you guys didn't watch this one, I would suggest going back and watching this one. It won fight of the night for a reason. But yeah, after Mackenzie Dern proved us all wrong, we all went against her, and a ringer for the Ring Boys. And she did give me a scare, I will say. But we'll have to wait and see what's next.
Yeah, good to see this great fight out of the women's division. Mackenzie Dern, what she did her last fight, we were all shocked. And if she would have put on this type of performance, she would have probably won that last fight. So it's good to see her back here. Her head's in the game. And after losing this fight, she says that she's going to continue working hard, working on a few more things. She'll be back, and I believe her. Lemos, amazing stand-up game. Super exciting to watch. She does have the power in her hands, and we saw that in this fight. So, hey, great fight, back and forth battle, went the distance, but both come out on top essentially with this type of performance. So good for them. Good way to finish up the prelims. And yeah, I wonder where Lemos goes from here. I mean, I think she's had the title shot before, right?
Yeah, she fought Chang. I wonder, Tatiana Suarez pulled out of her last fight. Maybe end of the year they fight. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that.
Maybe, but exciting fighters in the strawweight division. So good for them.
And yeah, Mackenzie Dern application to the Ring Boys fan club denied. You can submit for reapplication, whatever you want. Marcos Rogerio de Lima, TKOing Junior Tafa. It was gross. De Lima was like stretching his leg on the cage to start. Like he's like what, 6 foot something. I forget what his exact height. But to have your whole foot on the cage and just stretching and looking like casual, that was impressive for a 261 pounder. But
he's also like 40 years old.
Yeah, 38 years old. Like that flexibility, crazy. But he was getting booed as he was doing that stretching. Julima breaks Tafa's left cat down, drops hammer fists on him, and then does a cartwheel. Like, that was just so disrespectful. But yeah, Junior Tafa replacing his brother last minute. Obviously, we'll chat about that on a 30 or so hour notice. He was backstage. Justin Tafa tore his ACL or had some knee issue with his injury. And like 8 minutes before they closed weigh-ins, Marcus comes out to weigh in, Junior comes out to weigh in, and the whole crowd wanted Junior to win. And I personally do, but we scratched this one since it didn't count. But Doc, you and I took Marcus. I think he showed why. And yeah, hopefully the Tafa gang bounces back from this and we see the brothers come in and do their thing once more.
Yeah, I mean, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, before that last fight with Derek Lewis, he was on a good hot streak and he looks really good. And I don't know where this is coming from, but for a while he was nobody, and then as soon as he got up in age, he's really started showing out. This is a good win, even though it is on 30 hours notice, because it shows that he's well-rounded. Junior Tafa, I mean, it would have been tough for him to come in and win against a guy who has a chin made of steel. So, hey, Marcos won. Marcos beat Tafa. I feel like that's what I called was going to happen, right?
Great. Marcos also said in Portuguese that he's coming for that belt. And I don't think he name dropped John Jones, but he said, like, I'm gold for bust. And I was like, all right, here we go, dude. You're at 15, you're 38 years old. Relax.
Still fun to watch.
Oh, incredibly. incredibly. One of the guys, anytime his name's on any card, I'm watching his fight, especially after that nasty calf kick. Oh my God, that was insane. Rinya Nakamura defeating Carlos Vera on another bathroom trip fight, as I like to call it. Essentially, Carlos Vera was just pulling guard the whole fight, just kept going down to the ground because at one point in the first round, Nakamura gave up his ankle and Vera was going for the ankle lock probably 3 or 4 times throughout the entire fight. He was just chasing it. He couldn't get anything going. Boring round 2, boring round 3. And I think he said his right hand broke at some point, but I don't know. It was impressive. His English is better than Charles Olivier in my book, so I like to see that. And then that's when Zuckerberg walked in the building, so we had to know that. I mean, just boring fight. Rinya Nakamura. Gonna need a better performance on your next fight here, buddy. Minus 1,300 is crazy. But I'm not even ringing the bell for this one.
Yeah, 13 minutes of control time, impressive. But if you have that much control time, just finish the guy. You're minus 1,300. We'll see where he goes from here. Sometimes people get a little bit shy on the big stage. So hopefully that's all this was. He'll be more prepared next time, and hopefully he puts on a show. I want to see what made this guy minus 1,300. So hopefully we see that next time. Really, basically a scratch on his record. We'll see where he goes from here. Not a fight that we like to see. 13 minutes of control time. This is why some people hate wrestling. It's because of fights like these. So let's see him get back out there, improve on a few things, and make it a bit more exciting.
Couldn't agree with you more. There was a bettor at one point. I saw, I think it was FanDuel or someone tweeted that, someone just put $2,000 on Carlos Vera before the fight. It was going to pay out 18. And I was like, dude, just give it to charity. What are you doing? It's one of the worst bets I heard of in a while. Nonetheless, Zhang, Mountain Tiger, Minyang, hitting Brenson Ribeiro with a tree piece and a soda, as I like to call it. Now, Brenson came out, was starting really good. I was like, okay, I think I like this one. Then he kind of just starts faking the eye poke and was like pointing to the ref. And I was like, wait, what are we, is he faking it? And then he put his hands up. I'm like, oh my God, he faked it. And then Shane came in and said, your food's ready, and just hit him with a 3-piece and a soda. But yeah, it was like, I gave you like shades of, what was it, Derek Lewis and DeSantis when he like faked the cup check. I was just like, what are you doing, dude? But then Jake comes on, calls out Dana for his 50 G's, and I had to rewatch it. I could not believe he literally called out Alex Pereira for UFC 300. Like, dude, what are you doing? This is like your UFC debut, and you're like calling out the champ. It was just crazy. Everyone was just, oh my God, I couldn't believe he did that. But nonetheless, I was wrong. You and Artie got this one right. This was the only one I missed on the only one I missed on the card part from the Ramon fight. So
good performance. You know, our scouting report just went based on the country of origin here. But hey, we want to see him back out there. That was some precise striking. He couldn't miss. Ribeiro was falling, and he was still getting clipped in the face, flush. So, Zhang Mingyang, come back out there. Let's see you fight. I don't think it's Alex Pereira time, but hey, let's get a few more knockouts like that, because that looks really good. He's a big boy for this weight class. So, I mean, I'm excited to see him back out there. You know, he'll face a little bit more tougher competition going forward, but he looks like he has all the talent that he needs to start moving up the rankings. So I'm excited.
I'll tell you now, it'll never be Alex Pereira time for this guy. Let's just move on. Josh Quinlan getting KO'd out by Danny, left-handed God Barlow. Good exchanges from both ends to start. This was actually a good fight to watch. Bushido got eye poked at one point, but he was fine. Danny apologized and then finished with good exchanges. Barlow starts like throwing crazy flying knees, And I think at one point Dean Thomas came on and was like, "Yeah, Danny's got to keep kicking the legs. Like that's how you have like a 7 or 6 inch reach advantage. Like you got to keep the set distance. The closer Josh Quinlan gets to you, the worse it's going to be for you." But nonetheless, the flying knee and left hands secured a round 2 win for him, and then obviously sent him to God with the left hand in the round 3 finish, and then does a backflip. And he also mentioned he broke like his right or left hand. It's like, why is everyone breaking hands on this card? I've never heard of this many hand breaks like in the post-fight interviews in a while. But yeah, your thoughts and reaction.
Yeah, I think he said he broke like one arm and then he broke the other hand. Like what?
So confusing.
Best part, in my opinion, was when when he gets his nickname like left hand to God said, and he raises his right hand. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But he did great. He got cup checked towards the end there, and that's what turned it around for him. As soon as his cup got hit, he got a little bit upset and he started piecing up Quinlan. Super precise striking. He's long, but he's also fast. And he throws kind of from different angles, similar to Sean O'Malley. So he was fun to watch. It makes sense that he's undefeated. I think that he needs to work on a few things. It's kind of shocking that it went 3 rounds, but yeah, let's see Danny Barlow back out there. Quinlan has a chin. He could have been finished way earlier. But Danny Barlow, he's fun to watch. He needs to work a little bit on his English, though. I don't know if you were listening to him talking at the end. It's kind of, I don't know what he was saying, but whatever. He knows how to fight, and I guess that's what really matters.
The dog from Memphis, man. He came out to Young Dolph, RIP. It's just everything you want in a Memphis UFC fighter, man. Yeah, but as you mentioned, I wanted to go back to that point. When he got cup checked, did you hear what the announcers talked about? That they're still using steel tie cups.
The steel cup.
That's insane. Like the fact that you're having a piece of steel going, oh, that's just, we'll move on.
Hey, it's a deterrent.
We need to find a new material. This ain't it. Oban Elliott defeating Val Woodburn on a crazy fight by unanimous decision. You want to know something hilarious? We know Val Woodburn, obviously famous from fighting Bo Nickel. He was 254 pounds when he started MMA training, Val Woodburn. And now they're fighting, 170? That's insane.
Kind of like Volk. Yeah, Volk
That's
was
insane.
Up there.
Yeah,
like
rugby guy, huh? But Oban, the Welsh gangster, walks out to Gangster's Paradise, RIP Coolio, and I wasn't worried until I was worried. Val conserved his energy on the ground. Bisping was saying that Oban has a chin, and then throws a head kick, gets clobbered, scores a takedown to recover, gets Val's back, and does nothing with it. And then, again, gets some good hooks. In round 2, Val looked really gassed. And there were 2 body kicks from Oban. He got on his back, did nothing with it again. And I was like, all right, dude, you secured his back twice at this point. What is going on? And it wasn't until the 3rd round we get to hear his corner go, yeah, don't go for the choke. Just don't go for the choke. And I'm like, why? At least try. Like if he was saying, like, if you go for the choke and you tire yourself out, this guy will make you pay. And I was like, I guess, but you have his back twice. At least try once. But Elliott does nothing on his back. No pressure, no choke attempt. Like, he just wanted to score control time to like prove a point, it seemed. But was it really just him tiring himself out? Did he not have a grip because of the sweat? Like, I don't know. It was just very strange to me.
I don't know if you heard the commentators. It was really funny. I think it was Bisping. He's like, yeah, he should stop going for the chokes because Woodburn has no neck. You can't choke him if he has no neck.
Bisping was on a hot mic this whole card, dude.
Yeah. Nice to see Bisping out there. But yeah, that's what it ended up being. He's like, he doesn't have enough room to secure the choke. And yeah, Val Woodburn gave us a bit of a scare. In that first round, he landed a good one on Oban and couldn't put him out. Looked tired ever since that moment. And really, I don't think Val Woodburn has shown that he's talented enough to stay in the UFC. I know it's only been 2 fights, but he looks big. He is big, but he's a bit slow, and that power isn't knocking people out right away. So he won't be able to succeed in the UFC. Oban looked really good, I thought. He recovered well from that first punch that knocked him over. He had some good wrestling. He had some good submission attempts. Yeah, I know he didn't get the submissions, but he looked really good. He looked really fast for all 3 rounds. We'll see him fight a better opponent and see if he can stack up. I think he'll do more when he has more of a neck to work with.
Dude, you could just do what Khabib did to McGregor, the lever trick. You don't need a neck.
Yeah, but I guess he could do the chin torquing thing, but the neck crank. An option. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. The neck crank.
Yeah. Oban Elliott getting the win. Val Woodburn, cut from the UFC, question mark? Wouldn't be surprised.
It's getting close.
Well, yeah. Ringer from the Ring Boys on that one. And then Danny Barlow was a ringer for the Ring Boys, so we'll get the belt for him. And then Miranda Maverick, ringer for the Ring Boys as well. Check, please. Miranda Maverick walks in with a cowboy hat, and they said that Andrea Lee always walks out with a cowboy hat, so they both walk out with cowboy hats. So I thought I'd watch the same walkout twice because I was just getting my wings going, so that was funny to watch. But nonetheless, after that weird intimidation thing, Andrea Lee reverses her position in the clinch to start round 1, gets side control, Maverick rolls out, and then just gets taken down via suplex. But she started to get the jab going, and she had a big left hand, Miranda Maverick, while her corner was asking for combinations, and she started to adjust. She started throwing some really mean kicks. And after she started throwing those kicks, Andrea was like, yeah, I don't want to shoot anymore. I'm not comfortable here. But I had a 10-9 Miranda after 1, 2018 Miranda after 2, and then got a little scared. I wouldn't score this one, 30-27 for Miranda. I saw it more 29-28 at one point. They were mentioning she had a pickle company with like 15 flavors. I'm like, I'm glad we're talking about this, not the fight. But yeah, spitting backfest from Andrea in round 3 was kind of crazy, and then Miranda scored the takedown, and I was like, all right, that's it. She got it. But did you see Miranda get caught in a triangle at the end and almost got choked out? Like, that was bad. They were telling her like, you got 10 seconds, don't tap, and it seemed like Andrea heard that and she was like, oh, okay, and kind of gave up. Like, it didn't seem like she was trying. Like, she was just holding the position, hopefully to get the decision, but didn't do enough.
Yeah. Good way to start off the card here. Miranda Maverick looked okay. I think Andrea Lee looked better than I was expecting. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about this fight. It was fun to watch. Miranda Maverick continues, I think, to disappoint in the UFC. More was expected from her, but we'll see where she goes from here. I think that with Kayla Harrison joining the UFC, her fighting someone like Miranda Maverick would kind of end Miranda Maverick's hype train completely. So we'll see where she goes from here. Andrea Lee, lots of fights in a row that she's a good vet, but I think her time is nearing the end. But I don't know what else to say. I want more out of Miranda, and she just hasn't been delivering that the last few fights.
Agreed. I thought she was going to finish Andrea, but she almost got finished twice. Like, you can't have that going up the ranks and fighting more skilled fighters rather than women that are on the chopping block. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's your 298 card. Great card. Just completely forgot.
Best card of the year so far?
Completely forgot Toronto was a thing until you brought it up. I was going to say.
This was the best card of the year.
Best card of the year by far. And it's only going to get better with these pay-per-views. So we got 299 looking stacked, 300 obviously. You think Dana's going to make us pay to watch the whole 300 card? You think that whole thing is pay-per-view? I would not be shocked. Like, that'd be such a scam.
I think he messed up a bit. Again, 299 looking better than 300. Makes it hard with Ramadan. I get it, but we don't mind. We don't mind. We'll watch both cards, and both cards will be fantastic.
We're 3 weeks away. I hope no pullouts happen. But nonetheless, next weekend, UFC Mexico. Who's it? Moreno and Royval fighting. So be covering that card for you guys as well. before we get out of here, go through the picks real
No,
quick.
who's Royval fighting?
Moreno.
Is it Moreno? Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ortega's on that card too. Raul Rojas is on that
Hey,
card.
Ortega's back. Nice.
Stop. He's gonna lose.
Ricky Tercios against Raul Rosas, sleeper fight of the night.
I'm taking Ricky 9 times out of 10.
Okay.
I'm
Ricky
just kidding.
Tercios, he's a loud one in the ring. So
After
a little bit annoying.
Raul lost, I'm just not a fan of him as much now. So we'll have to wait and see.
No.
Run through the prediction accuracies real quick. Artie and I tied. We got 9 right. Doc, you had 8, one behind us. Yearly pay-per-view accuracy. Artie 13 for 23. Me 14 for 23. Doc 12 for 23. Yearly overall accuracy. Artie 40 for 59. Me 41 for 59. Doc 39 for 59. So yeah, we're really close. Just want to point out the only difference between me, Artie, and Doc were the main pay-per-view cards, which I called Topuria and DDP. So I just have to leave that on the record and rub it in your face one time. But we'll wait and see. I'm glad we're starting the year hot, and it's only going to get hotter. This first half of the year is looking really hard to beat, so we'll have to see what's in store for the second half of the year. But before then, we'll wait to see what the cards hold for us. Fantasy update, because I have to. Already getting 5 points with Topuria's KO win against Volk. Doc getting his, 3? Yeah, 3 for unanimous decision win for Marab. Yep. Doc, you got 7. Artie has 11. I have 1 point. But I'm just getting started. I promise. My fans
fighters
out there
don't fight.
My fans out there, Exxon Nation, when they fight and they get belts and we didn't implement that special rule to get me back in, they'll rue it. They'll rue the day. But yeah, that's it. Doc, you want to say anything before we sign off here?
No, not really. I think we talked about it enough with these fights, but again, glad to see that UFC's recovered with this big card here. The Canada fight was terrible. So we're moving in the right direction. We're going to pick up steam heading into 299, which on paper looks to be the best card in a while. And then 300 won't disappoint. So this is good for the UFC. Kind of scared with all of these like hand breaking, arm breaking,
stop even bringing
leg breaking,
half slicing. Yeah, I don't want to see any more injuries.
Yeah, let's keep it clean going forward. But yeah, excited to see that the UFC is back on track.
And to add to that, we're not in the Apex next weekend. Finally, a card not in the Apex. I'm hyped. We're in Mexico.
One thing I'll say, and I think other fighters have, I forgot who recently mentioned this. You know, the Apex was built when COVID had shut down all the arenas, and it was the way to keep the UFC going. And at that moment, it made sense. Now that we're out of everything being shut down, I think it's a little bit disrespectful to some of these fighters to keep them in this smaller ring, less fans. It's just not necessary anymore. It's cheaper for the UFC, I get it, but I think we want to start moving away from the Apex and moving towards bigger arenas for the events that are not UFC numbered events. We'll see if Dana is willing to do that. I think that the Apex is a fantastic place for things like Dana White Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter or all these like prospect shows. And maybe he'll make like a minor league division in the UFC, and that's what the Apex would be great for. But I think for the amount of time that these fighters train, cut weight, and try to put on performances, it's not the same motivation when they know that they're going to be fighting in the Apex versus when they know when they're going to be fighting in front of thousands and thousands of fans. So I think it was a great idea. It saved the UFC as a brand, but I think that it's time to phase this out, use it for other purposes, and let the fighters experience what it's like to fight in front of roaring fans in these bigger arenas. And the UFC can afford it. So
that they can, but unfortunately, I like that minor league idea, but now that Power Slap is a thing, it might be a little harder because they're going to have to use the Apex for that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I mentioned, UFC Mexico El Noche here next weekend. And I just wanted to bring up one more point. Now that you brought up that you want to see people fighting in front of crowds, like We have Umar fighting in like 2 weeks against Beg. What was it?
He's
Amakan?
fighting against a nobody. Like,
But the nobody's 17-1 though. I think, right? And now
I don't know
obviously
about
not. Whatever, I'll have to research. But still, you don't want to see Umar fight at the Apex. Not at all. You need to see him on a card, in my opinion.
Dana is punishing the Nurmagomedov family because Habib wouldn't accept money. A man of principle. The GOAT.
Unbelievable. But he also mentioned that Connor is really rich, so that's why you won't see him fight in the UFC. That's exactly the egos you see in the world. Nonetheless, great episode, great card. Hopefully we keep it rolling. Great picks, and we'll see what's in store for next weekend. But until then, love you, Ringside Nation. Thank you for watching and listening wherever you're at. Peace.